In this video, we'll show you 8 dispersed camping spots that we loved on our 2024 spring trip to southern Arizona. Our goal was to find spectacular or unique wild camp spots with no neighbors trying to camp right on top of us. While we also used a primitive campground along the way, each of these 8 sites has some unique attribute that makes them special. It may be a spectacular view, the remoteness, the history, or some other nearby attraction that we really enjoyed. You be the judge. Our spectacular may not be the same as yours. Unlike our earlier route, which focused on the warmest, lowest elevation sites for winter or early spring trips, these sites have elevations mostly in the 2,000 to 6,000 foot range, so we did this trip a little later, in April. On this trip, we wanted to see sites in southeastern Arizona, including Casa Grande, the Sonoran Desert Museum in Tucson, the town of Tombstone, and the Coronado Memorial, Chiricahau National Monument, and Fort Bowie Historic Park. Okay, here we go. We love to go through Death Valley on our way south because there are many areas where dispersed camping is allowed, and this is one of our favorites. This camp is along Warm Springs Canyon Road, about 10 miles from the paved Badwater Road in southern Death Valley, and 7.3 miles after you turn onto Warm Springs Canyon Road from the West Side Road. The West Side Road and Warm Springs Canyon Roads are graded gravel roads with some washboarding. The site is on a ridge and can be a little windy, but there is room for a couple rigs, while most of the other sites only have room for one vehicle. We love this site because of the spectacular views of southern Death Valley and because of its quiet remoteness. There are multiple other spots along this road, but this has the best view and the most room. Please follow dispersed camping rules. You must be at least 1 mile from a main road, the West Side Road in this case, or from any day use area as shown on the backcountry access brochure and map. You should use only previously disturbed spots and not travel off-road. If the rules in this brochure are broken, the privilege will be lost, and that'll be a sad day. Access policies constantly change, so be sure to check online or by calling the visitor center. Note, on the map in the backcountry access brochure, the yellow indicates where you can't camp. It's 1 mile from any main road or day-use area. After a stop in Mojave Preserve at the Mid-Hills Campground, we boondocked on the Heritage Trail, which runs west from US 95 between Needles and Vidal Junction in California, and leads into the Turtle Mountain wilderness. The road is mostly good gravel road, although it gets a little rougher after a mile or so. It's fine for any vehicle with a little bit of clearance. We love this BLM area because it has huge, perfectly flat areas for camping with scenic views of the Turtle Mountains and Mupa Peak volcanic plugs. And there's a trailhead at the end of the road where you can hike into Mupa Spring. This is a huge area, and we've only seen a maximum of 3 other vehicles on 2 different stops here. However, US 95 is busy all night long, so make sure you get far enough in to mitigate the road noise. Kofa National Wildlife Refuge is another of our favorite spots on our route to Arizona, and this time we camped along Queen Canyon Road. We camped in a large bear area near the entrance to the canyon, but next time I think I would camp off of Queen Canyon Road before it turns east toward the mountains, because this section is flat BLM land and you can get much further from the road. Palm Canyon Road is a good gravel road, but Queen Canyon Road is the rocky two-track and a little bit rougher. However, we did see an SUV go up the canyon. We love Kofa because views of the Kofa Mountains and the sunsets are spectacular, and because you can camp amongst saguaro and cholla cactus and the red-flowering ocotillo bushes. It's also a lot less crowded than the nearby BLM Dispersed camping near Quartzsite. After visiting Casa Grande National Monument and Pacheco State Park between Phoenix and Tucson, we camped at an amazing BLM camping area along South Cattle Tank Road, accessed from Interstate 10 via East Park Link Drive. The roads are paved all the way up to the BLM campground, but the dispersed sites are along a sandy two-track road that runs east from the fenced campground area on South Cattle Tank Road. We love the Cactus Forest because you can camp amongst the saguaros and other desert plants, and privacy is easy to find due to the lush vegetation. No, there's a shooting range that you can faintly hear in the daytime, but it didn't bother us, and it was quiet at night. We enjoyed the Sonoran Desert Museum in Tucson, then headed to Tombstone. Just north of Tombstone, we found a great dispersed camping area in the Coronado National Forest by taking Middlemarch Road 10 miles to the National Forest Road 687, then turning north. Middlemarch is a good gravel road, and Forest Road 687 is a good dirt two-track, at least through the first mile or so, where most of the dispersed spots are. We loved the dispersed camping on Forest Road 687 because it is close to Tombstone, but also because of the spectacular backdrop provided by the Dragoon Mountains, also known as Cochise Stronghold. This was the only Native American location never captured by the U.S. Army in spite of numerous attempts. You can see why. Further up 687 is Council Rocks, where Cochise ultimately negotiated his surrender. We didn't go that far up the road, but we suspect a four-wheel drive or at least good clearance may be needed to do that. So for the scenic views and the historic backdrop, we love this spot. Just a note, the Cochise Stronghold Trail and the Cochise Campground are on the east side of the Dragoon Mountains, not near this location on the southwest edge of the range. After visiting Tombstone, Coronado Memorial, and Bisbee, we landed at Whitewater Draw Wildlife Management Area. There are 4 or 5 designated spots near a vault toilet at the main viewing area, but it was full, and we camped in a large overflow lot 1 mile north of the main entrance. The road is a good gravel road. The overflow lot seemed a lot more peaceful, and there was a trail that leads back to the main wildlife viewing areas. We really liked this site, as it was a handy, free site, unique for the thousands of sandhill cranes that visit here from October to late February, and many other birds and wildlife. We were here the 1st of April and only saw a couple of cranes that forgot to leave, but that made it worthwhile. If you like big birds and can get here in October through February, you will love Whitewater Draw. From Whitewater Draw, we hiked at Chiricahau National Monument and along the trail into Fort Bowie National Historic Park, then camped at Hotwell Dunes, an OHV area with special amenities. The road to Hotwell Dunes is good gravel road, but turns to a 2-track with some sand in the dunes area just beyond the hot springs. We loved Hotwell Dunes for the nice developed hot springs pools that are automatically filled each morning and drained each night. There's a $5 camping and hot spring use fee, which we paid, but we camped just beyond the hot tubs in the Dispersed camping area. There were several rigs parked here, but we easily found a very private spot a short walk from the hot tubs, and we saw only 2 other persons in the pools the morning we were there. It was a wonderful soak. This was our second trip to Valley of the Gods in Utah before heading through the Moab, Canyonlands, and Arches area. Also near Valley of the Gods are Gooseneck State Park, Monument Valley, and the Sand Island petroglyphs. We love Valley of the Gods because of the spectacular scenery, similar to Monument Valley just to the south, but also because there are so many widely separated, free, dispersed camping spots along a well-graded 17-mile loop road. We camped at another great scenic spot in Valley of the Gods on an earlier trip. Here's a map I made of the Valley of the Gods road that identifies the best boondock spots, judging from satellite images. I did this before our first trip, and it's a little hard to read, but the 2 spots we've used were certainly spectacular. Well, those are our awesome and spectacular camp spots on this Southwest trip. But on a side trip to New Mexico, we found a very nice, if not spectacular, camping area worth mentioning. After visiting the impressive Gila cliff dwellings, we camped at the Comfort Wells Dispersed camping area in the pine forests of the Gila National Forest. It's a huge, spacious, and peaceful area. It certainly deserves honorable mention. And just south of Comfort Wells, there's a very unique City of Rocks state campground, which you may also like, but it requires reservations. We just checked it out without camping, but we hiked the amazing trail through the middle of the huge boulders. One final note. Please, please, please be a good steward of these dispersed camping areas and leave no trace. Please haul out all trash, even other folks' trash. Please use existing disturbed areas. Don't create new ones. Don't drive off-road. Don't disturb the wildlife or sensitive vegetation. And finally, respect other campers' privacy, serenity, and dark sky stargazing. Well, we hope you find these camp spots to be as unique and spectacular as we did. Thanks much for watching. More great routes and camping spots are coming up, along with new 4-wheel camper mods and info to help you select and build your adventure rig.